Need to improve your club on Ultimate Team? Check out IGDM for safe and reliable coins with the link in the description. Get an extra 5% discount with code NA. What's good, y'all? In this video, I'm going to show you guys the 4-2-2-2, which is a really good formation for counter-attacking soccer or counter-attacking football. It's really good because it throws a lot of players up the field, it makes a lot of progressive runs, and if you want a formation that you can use to quickly attack the other team whenever you receive the ball, for the counter-attack, this formation is probably going to be one of your favorite formations to run this FIFA. I've had a lot of success using this formation whenever I need a formation that increase the tempo of my team, make more runs, and also be more freestylish with the fact that there's cams instead of wingers, or a left cam and a right cam basically. This formation in general is just really fun. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's a formation that I would definitely keep in my list of formations to use this FIFA. And it's also absolutely a meta formation to use this FIFA. And without further ado, we're going to go straight into the custom tactics. Going straight to ultra defensive, I have it set to ultra defensive, I meant to say. Defensive style balanced, 40 width, 65 depth. I tweaked the width a little bit because really it's easy to think that the more narrow isn't that good. However, it's important to realize that the more narrow it is, all it really does is force the other team to constantly have to switch the ball. We want this to be as narrow as possible because we want to plug away holes in the defensive line to prevent the other team from getting easy through balls. So by making it as low as possible without making it too low, we can prevent that from happening. This forces the other team to constantly have to switch the ball from flank to flank, which can waste time for you or waste their time. It'll just make it hard for them to build up, and it'll also make it hard for them to make through runs to begin with, and just hard for them to find passing options. So I found 40 to be pretty easy for defending. And then we're gonna have 65 depth because I just want to get as close as 71 without actually hitting 71. Because primarily, if you do get to 71, that's when the offside trap gets activated. We don't really want that right now. We want it at 65 as it's a little bit more safer. But like I said in previous videos, if you want to use 71, go absolutely ahead. It's just a little bit ratty. I wouldn't recommend it. 65 is a lot more better. It's a little bit easier to use, but it's less obnoxious to play against and to play with, honestly. And build up play, balanced, direct passing. I'm going to be straight up. If there's any tactic video that you watch from any other channels that tell you to do anything else, to be completely honest, to be completely respectful, they're not really giving you the best advice because balanced and direct passing is the biggest combination you can use that will be, without a doubt, the best in terms of gameplay. You could use fast build up, you could use slow build up. Really, I don't really see the point, primarily because balance gives you the best of both worlds, and then direct passing is just superior to any other chance creation. Possession is useless because all it does is slow down the amount of runs that your team will make and the frequency that your players will make movements into open positions in place for like a safer, more conservative playstyle, which isn't really what you want because this game is really fast paced and the other teams are going to have really fast defenses, so you need as fast build up as you can get. Forward runs is not that useful because all it does is remove the amount of players that are going to make movements into positions that can preserve possession. So everyone's just going to be moving forward, which is just going to make it hard to pass and hard to build up. While direct passing is the best of both worlds because you're going to have players that make runs in behind while also going to have players that focus on playing short for the ball, receiving the ball at their feet, and letting you dribble with the ball. So if you're not using balance and direct passing, that combination, I could honestly say that you're just stifling your performance on FIFA. And then your width 58, I had to fine tweak this. I bounced around from 40 to 60. It was really hard trying to figure out what value to use, primarily because with a lack of wingers, your players can't be like everywhere in the attack. So I chose 58 primarily because we want the players to be a little bit more wide. That way you have options to beat the fullback, which is going to be hard to get when you don't have wingers with this formation. So 58 is going to allow them in the build-up to operate as wingers, and then as we get closer and closer to the box, they're going to actually become cams, and they're going to be more likely to make more freestyle-like movements and free roam around the box a little bit and run into spaces that are going to be open, basically. But 58 I found was perfect specifically for the build-up, as we want to maximize the width in that situation. That way they're able to find spaces out wide. And then as we get closer to the box, they're going to narrow out and then they're going to go inside the box. 6 players in the box because we're going to be using this players in the box setting as a limit for how many players can attack. So if you do decide to trigger a run, or if you do decide to run for a player that isn't normally attacker, like your fullback or maybe even a center back if you feel like it, this is going to keep them in the attack for the remainder of the attack. Corners 2, free kicks 2, this is absolutely personal preference. And before I continue and show you guys the instructions, real quick, I just wanted to mention that as you can see on the screen right now, the rate of subscribers is pretty interesting when it comes to these videos. So if you do like the formations that I create, or if you want to stay up to date with any other formations that I will create in the future, because I do strive to make the best possible formations that are actually meta, then go ahead and subscribe. Additionally, I am building a FIFA community on Discord where you can find discussion related to tactics, daily content, squad building, evolutions, trading, basically anything FIFA. You can join today with the link in the description. And straight into the instructions at striker, both your strikers, you're going to have them both on stay central, game behind. However, you're going to want one on stay forward and one on basic defensive support. The reason why we do this is because the one on basic defensive support is going to be a step below the other one. You're going to want the one that's on stay forward to basically be like the pace player, the player that's just going to focus primarily on runs and giving a lot of pressure. Mbappe is perfect for this. And then you're going to want basically your other player to be like the cam, basically the player that you trust to come short with the ball, receive the ball to his feet, and then turn around and find that through ball to Mbappe or the player with a lot of pace. So in short, you're going to want the player with more pace, preferably the quick step playstyle, to be the player on stay forward, because this guy is just going to terrorize the other team's defensive line and just constantly make annoying runs. And then your other player right here is the player that you want to come short at their feet, get the ball at their feet, turn around, pass to a winger, or he can make a run himself if the player that has the ball is a midfielder. You'll notice that as you get closer to the build-up, closer to the other team's box, that these guys are just going to be the exact same. They're just going to be running around trying to find space in the box. So this difference right here in defensive support is only really relevant in build-up within your own box. The whole goal with this right here is just to make sure that they're not on the exact same level. One's going to be a little bit more under the other one. That way you have a passing option in the central area of the field. So just keep that in mind. And then both your cams, you're going to have them on completely default. It's very tempting to be like, oh yeah, I want to put something on them. I want to put against the box for crosses or something on them. However, with these positions, the cam is a position that you do not normally want to touch in any formation that you make, primarily because the cam in itself as a default instruction position is really strong because it's specifically instructed to run into space that's not occupied by the other team. That's why this formation is so good, because it's basically just a 4-4-2, but the wingers are focused on running into spaces that the other team has left behind. So if you're really good at dribbling, really good at making the other team move players that he shouldn't be moving, players in this cam position are going to go absolutely insane, because you're going to find a lot of unique passes play after play after play, because as you drag defenders out of their position, these wingers are going to take their spots. And we don't want to put against the box for cross, because we want to make sure that when it's on default, they're primarily focused on just running into space within the box, at the edge of the box, or maybe inside the box, depending on context, whenever there's space for them. And when there's space for them, there's going to be space for you to pass into them, and then boom, you can have a perfect shooting opportunity or a perfect tap-in opportunity or whatever happens. And then your two midfielders, again, this is my classic double pivot that I have going on. In any two-man midfield, we're going to have both of them on cut passing lanes, cover center, and then one is going to be on balance attack, and the other one's going to be on stay back while attacking. As always, the stay back while attacking player is going to be your number 6 CDM, a player of very good defending, strength, and passing. And then your other one's going to be your box-to-box midfielder, your Bellingham type player or whatever. And you're going to want him on balance attack. That way he's focused on making runs into the attack whenever it is needed. So he's not going to constantly run to the attack. It's going to be basically focused more on his work rates, if anything, his frequency of making runs. However, you'll notice that he's going to be popping up when you need him a lot often, when you need him the most, basically. And then your fullbacks, again, when we don't need an attacking fullback, we leave everybody on stay back while attacking and overlap. And if you don't understand, stay back while attacking with overlap can seem like a contradiction, because they're not going to actually overlap the attack if they cannot attack. However, with overlap, even on defense, it can help because it keeps the player closest to the touchline as possible. If you don't use overlap, sometimes you'll notice that your fullback will like drift into midfield for whatever reason, especially on defense, which can be annoying because it leaves a huge gap in your width. So with overlap, it keeps them basically hugging the touchline as close as possible without giving up that position and making annoying runs and basically just abandoning that position and then causing you an issue on the counterattack. So overlap is going to be pretty helpful. Center back's always untouched, and then goalkeeper you can put comes for crosses and sweeper keeper. First thing to keep in mind when you're playing this tactic is to remember that this is a very symmetrical formation, unlike any other formation that I've made this FIFA. So if you're struggling to build up, struggling to find spaces to attack, take the time to switch the ball from flank to flank. This doesn't mean, lobbing the ball from one side to another. However, use your CDM to filter the ball, move the ball into different angles that you usually wouldn't look at. Because with these wingers, they're going to be specifically instructed to run into space that has been opened up by the other team. What this means is as you're defending, if the other player is moving defenders around, even if it's the slightest movement that you don't notice, this can be hard to capitalize on, so your AI or cams will capitalize on it themselves. So just by constantly passing that ball around, making the other player have to defend against you, you're going to notice that you're going to be able to find players, especially your cams, in open positions that can really, mess up the other team's defense. And let's not forget about this formation's strong capabilities in the counterattack. The moment you get the ball, with two strikers making getting forward, getting behind runs, this can be really, really annoying to defend against in the counter. You're going to have two players that are going to be focused on beating that defensive line. And obviously, as a defender on the other team, you can only watch and focus on one player. Now, when your two strikers are going to be making runs from different positions, as one's going to be a little bit higher than the other, you're going to notice that the other defender might not even realize you have two players making runs, because one's going to be a little bit behind the other one. So keep that in mind as you're playing on the counterattack, to look at your strikers, pay attention to their runs, try to see if you can drag out their center backs to make an even easier chance at a pass into the behind of the defense. And also make sure you have the correct players for striker. Make sure that your strikers do have the quick step playstyle. If they have the quick step plus, that's an even bigger bonus, because they're just going to absolutely destroy anyone on that through ball. But quick step as a playstyle in itself without the plus will be good enough. Quick step can be used to really get behind the center backs, as quick step is basically just a huge pace boost, and when used with proper timing and with a proper through pass, there's really nothing you can do as a player on the other team to defend against these through balls. And like always, if you found this formation to be pretty helpful, if you realize that it's improved your gameplay, especially during weekend league or champs or division rivals, feel free to like, subscribe, as I will be replying to comments whenever anyone has a good question. If you have any other formations that you'd like me to try and make a good formation with, I'll be happy to do that, so just drop a comment, and that's all.